Well, a win's a win, but I can't think that one's going to make the end of the season DVD review. What an awful game of football. First half we played all right. Probably had most of the ball, didn't create too much. One real bit of real good play from Aït-Nouri, real good ball into the box, and Sarabia with a good run and just getting a flick on it, which is all the ball needed really. So good ball into the box from Aït-Nouri. But second half, I don't know what they were doing. It was almost as if they just said, oh yeah lads, that was easy first half, and we'll just go out second half and do the same again, which absolutely didn't. We barely touched the ball in the second 45 minutes, and when we did towards the end, it was trying to keep the ball in the corner. And don't get me wrong, there's no easy games in the Premier League, but against a team that regularly ships 4, 5, 6 goals, I'm not even saying we should be scoring 4 or 5, but we should be playing better than that. We've got to have more control of the game, see it out a lot better than we did. The long throws, I thought, caused us problems today. And just generally second half, even first half, really, we were the better team, but Sheffield United had the better play. Not better play, better chances. There's a couple of one-on-ones they should have got shots off, and we managed to get back and get the blocks and get the tackles in. But yeah, second half, I say, was just not a good half of football at all. I don't think O'Neill's substitutions helped either. We ended up playing 5-4-1 in the end with Neto up front on his own, which I really didn't understand. Every substitution he made seemed like a negative one. And yeah, it was just one of those games really. You just thought, thankfully, hopefully, we'll just see this through, and thankfully we did. At Wolves, you're always expecting us to lose against these teams at the bottom of the table, but at the moment it just feels like whoever we play, we either up our game or lower our game to their level. Brentford and Sheffield United being the prime examples, with excellent performances against Chelsea and Tottenham thrown in the middle. So yeah, but as I say, a win's a win, up to 8th, which is the main thing, and hopefully get through the next round the cup on Wednesday.
Wolves 1, Sheffield United 0, up to 8th. But if Wolves play like that again this season, I can categorically guarantee to you they will lose to every team they play for the rest of the season, because that second half was a really, really hard watch. It was really bad. It was, I would say, borderline disgraceful, but you can't really say disgraceful for a game of which Wolves have actually gone on to win. But the relaxed nature, the lethargic nature, the whole attitude from the players in the second half really, really pissed me off, to be honest. Like, it's left a sour taste. Obviously, before anyone has a go, delighted with the win. Like, fantastic. Like, you'll never have me, like, annoyed at the way Wolves got a win in the Premier League. But they are awful, Sheffield United, and we made them, as Don Goodman said on commentary, and it was a good point. If you sat someone down and didn't show them the Premier League table before and made them watch that second half and said which of these two teams is bottom of the league and being called one of the worst sides to ever play in the division, you wouldn't have said Sheffield United. Like, that second half from Wolves really left a sour taste. They were really terrible. But in the first half, I thought we were good. We were all right. We moved the ball well. Like, Neto got into some good positions. Sarabia made a brilliant run, a great header. Wolves' goal was actually really high quality. The cross in from Aït-Nouri on his weaker right foot and the header in from Sarabia was really good, just at a time when Sheffield United were having chances. But Wolves gave up far too many chances to a side like Sheffield United and their quality. Like, they don't have a lot of quality. They don't have any quality. Like, it's a really bad performance by Wolves. And we were, I would say, dragged down to their level, but, like, I wouldn't even say, like, they were just better than us in the second half. And every player seemed to lose their ability to do everything in the second half. It really, like, confused me. But that is enough negativity. We have won. We are 8th in the Premier League. We are a point behind Brighton in 7th. It's currently half-time in the Carabao Cup final. And any Wolves fan that's serious about maybe challenging for Europe this season wants Liverpool to win that. As you know, the dropping down of the European positions. So hopefully they can. But on that, for Wolves, if they play like that again this season, especially in the second half, they'll be going nowhere. But I'm going to put it down to an off day, an expectant day, and of course we all would have taken a 1-0 win before the start today. I thought, I would say a few players, Dawson did well in heading the ball out. Kilman looked awful shaky. Like, I haven't seen him play like that in a long time. It was, like, very unnatural for Max Kilman. He was just panicky on the ball, slicing it. Semedo looked slow. sometimes today. The midfielders didn't really impress me. João Gomez won the ball back a lot, though, so fair play to him. He put in a shift, and Sarabia did quite well, and of course got the winning goal. So yeah, it's one of them really for Wolves. You're just happy to win, but the performance was nowhere near the standard that you would expect, and I'm sure Gary O'Neill will say that after the match. But yeah, it was a drab game. Awful second half performance. Sheffield United had more shots on target in the second half. Should have equalised towards the end with a throw in that went to the back post. Just needed someone to tap it in. They looked dangerous off long throws. Wolves, like we said, if they were playing a team today that wasn't Sheffield United or maybe Burnley, they wouldn't have won that game. But thankfully, we have won that match. 38 points now. Fantastic return after 26 games. That's all you can really ask for Wolves this season, is to just keep plugging away, keep going, and get at Brighton on Wednesday, or like in the midweek in the FA Cup, because that is a competition we can attack and go for it, totally. But yeah, if Wolves play like that against Brighton and play with such a high line, as everyone can remember when they beat us 4-1 in August, when they tore us apart in behind. Sheffield United were getting behind in the first half with McAtee and Brewster. But if you have the likes of Mitoma and Cisso's just back and Welbeck getting in behind that Wolves defence in the midweek, we will lose by 4 goals again. But main thing is, end of the day, 3 points for Wolves. We have all taken it before the start. Kind of got over the psychological hurdle of beating the teams that are worse than us in the league. And they are worse, and they are going down. Because if they couldn't score when we were playing like that today, they really haven't a hope in hell, Sheffield United. But thankfully, Wolves won, got the 3 points, and that's all we can really say. Attack Newcastle next weekend, because we can get at them, because they're not in great form, and we seem to be better away from home than we are at home in the minute. But at the end of the day, 3 points, but God, Wolves put us through the ringer in that second half.
So it's finished. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Sheffield United 0. Very much into cliche, very much a game of two halves and that really. A lot of Wolves fans think we're fairly disappointed with that. I know it was a win, but the performance wasn't great. I'm going to try and look a little more into why. I think we struggled a little bit and wait some insight into the game. So I think we started okay first half. Some good link-up play between Sarabia and Hwang, and some good runs from Neto in the first half. Aït-Nouri was again really impressed by Aït-Nouri, particularly in the first half. He seemed to pick up in. He's definitely got a freer role in recent weeks. He's got more of a freer role. He's bound to. There was some positions where he drifted himself quite century at times. The ball was on the right hand side of the pitch. He'd come all the way across, trying to link up play. He's definitely given the licence by Gary O'Neill to go further forward, and hopefully Tati Gomes will cover it. There was a few occasions where the ball was played in behind, though, on those situations where Tati had to try and deal with it, and Dawson as well trying to cover that. They did get us in trouble, and better teams I think would potentially put us away there, because there's a couple of balls where Sheffield United are running behind. And if that's Brighton, for example, on Wednesday, if that's Matoma running in, it's going to probably be a goal, isn't it? So we've got to look at that with Aït-Nouri and going too far forward. But again, that was a real positive from him, though. I did like that. Again, Sarabia was good, trying things in the first half, good movement, and obviously good movement for his goal as well, to run it that time in the run from Aït-Nouri's ball in with his right foot to get to flick on. I bet he hasn't scored many headers in his career, Sarabia. Can't think of many anyway. So a really good goal for that. Now, second half, this is where I think we really struggled. A lot of Wolves fans say this as well. The midfield battle seemed to go to pieces. I don't know what happened. Every second ball, Gomez and Lamina seemed to miss loads. It seemed to be so much space in the middle. Even when he put Tommy Doyle on, try and enforce it a little bit, we still lost a lot of space in the middle of the park. We seemed to lower our standards. We panicked. We were clearing balls that we shouldn't have been clearing. We were playing the ball backwards when we shouldn't have played it backwards. We were playing ourselves into trouble. Sheffield United aren't a good team, by any mate. No one can tell me any different with that. So many times they give the possession away. They just pass the ball to Semedo about 3 or 4 times. Then we'd pass it him straight back. We were like absolute car crash. We were following for what. Well, not car crash is a bit harsh, but I think we were doing things that we were just trying to match their standards. We lowered our standards to them. We didn't do that against Tottenham last week, where we were giving stray passes away and weren't competing for things. All the balls that bounced in the middle of the park, we lost every single one of those pretty much. We weren't even near them. We weren't even there to compete. And that was the key thing for me today. With too many bystanders in the midfield, and we weren't winning our challenges. We had no one to play off to, because obviously we were limited up front. The forward stopped working. We had a few runs from Neto in the second half. That was about it. I don't think we actually had a shot on target. We had a good chance from where Gomez set it back up to Sarabi and just put it wide in front of the North Bank, which was a good effort, but that was about it really in the first half. So in the second half. And then the big thing for me, big one for me, is the long throws. We struggled with long throws in previous games this season. And we did again then. Jack Robinson's long throws, they were causing us chaos, and they probably should have scored from one of those towards the end of the game. It was a good, really good one that went across the box that would have made it 1-1. And then Dawson, towards the end, won a couple of decent headers on dealing with those. So we'd improve a little bit, but any sort of ball into the box in those certain areas, we've got to look at trying to deal with those, really. But apart from that, I know it's a win. The performance wasn't great, so I'm happy with the win. I'm happy with 3 points on the board. There's different ways to win a game of football, and that's just one of those today. And give it perspective, if you asked me at the start of the season, when Lopetegui left, if you'd be at the end of February, you'd be sat in 8th, trying to compete for European football, I'd have bitten your hand off. So I'm very happy with that. Hopefully we can push on now against Brighton, try and get a win in the FA Cup, and hopefully we'll get on, and we'll see how we get on with that one. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Well, it's not the best second half performance, but at the end of the day, you take 1-0 wins any day of the week, especially against teams that are down the bottom and that we're known for dropping points to. Look, 3 points is 3 points in the Premier League. I'm not going to be too negative about it. Yes, it kind of felt like we wanted to bottle it, but it doesn't really matter in the end of the day because they were absolutely shocking. Probably one of the worst teams that I've seen down the mall in quite some time. Offered literally nothing, and then when they got into good areas, they literally just played it straight out of bounds themselves. So yeah, I think we were lucky because on a different day we would have been battered in that second half by any team that had decent end products. We're just lucky that they didn't. Couple of really, really good performances I thought today. João Gomez, obviously very, very good. João Gomez, Lamina pivot. For me, better than Neves and Moutinho ever were. More balanced, just fight for the ball a lot more. Not so passive, happy to go and press, happy to go and read the game, intercept. So for me, those two are absolutely pivotal to the way that we play. And Neves was a fantastic player, probably one of the best to ever play for our club, but I just think he would be too static in this team. And if we want that sort of option, Tommy Doyle does that really, really well. So I really like the way that the team plays now in comparison to how we've been playing for the last few years. And that is really being shown in the fact that we're now up to 8th in the table with a real chance of getting something like the Conference League next year, which would be absolutely unreal considering the fact that everyone had us written down as relegation candidates at the start of the season. So I'm really, really happy that we've pretty much avoided relegation already, and now we're even looking more upwards to the point where we could be renewing our passports for next year. And if we get Europe, it's, you know, we have a bigger chance of keeping a hold of those players like Ait Nouri that are just fantastic, Neto, who by all accounts didn't really have a very good game today. But just holding those players that we think could possibly be world class in the future, and we give them European football so that they have a chance to, like, a reason to stay at this club, would be massive. So I'm very happy. I don't really get super loads of negativity online about the way that we performed, because at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points, and anyone can lose to anyone in this league. So very, very good. I actually think we've got a pretty good chance next week against Newcastle away. They've been playing pretty poorly defensively at the moment, and I know that they like to have the ball and we can go back to our regular style of counter-attacking, which I know today we couldn't really employ because they wanted us to have the ball. So yeah, looking forward to it. Let's hope that we can end up in 7th, 8th towards the end of the season and get a trip to the depths of Moldova or something.
Wolves 1, Sheffield United 0. One of those weird games today. One of those ones where we could have really slipped up. We've seen in previous years, previous weeks, that, you know, whenever we've got a chance to gain on the teams above us in the table, we've always bottled that opportunity, lost to a lower league side, and, you know, haven't taken advantage of other teams dropping points around us. Today, thankfully, we did. It wasn't the greatest of displays. It wasn't vintage by any means, but we got the job done against Sheffield United, who previously had got us at their place. So I'm happy with the 3 points. I'm pretty happy with the first half performance. Second half performance was dire. I don't really want to get into it too much. I think it was the showing of a Sheffield United team that were sick of losing, to be honest, and they thought, well, we need to get some goals on the board. You know, we need to get some goals, we need to get some points on the score. on the points on the Premier League leaderboard. So they had to go for us a bit more. They pressed a lot higher. They were winning the ball in higher positions, but we were also so lacklustre with the ball. We could have got rid of it so many times, and we just played ourselves into danger too many times. One of the reasons, I think, being Mario Lemina, I'm not sure whether they've worked on it in training, using him as a makeshift number 9 to kind of try and hustle and bustle the centre-backs, shake them around a bit, but it didn't really work because whenever we were counted on, he was always stuck in a number 9 position and nowhere near the centre circle where we needed him. So the transitions were far too easy for Sheffield United to get into positions where they could damage us. The goal was a good goal. I think Aït-Nouri looked really good today. Not sure quite why he was taken off instead of Totti, but yeah, seemed a bit passive. But a great cross in with his weaker foot. Good header from Sarabia, who I also thought was decent today. With, you know, getting a goal. Good header for a guy his height. Bit silly with passes, bit, you know, lazy with passes. Some of the flicks and tricks from some of the players today just weren't necessary. But all things considered, it's 3 points. We move into 8th above Newcastle and Chelsea. And hopefully we can build on this towards the end of the season. We need to get some, we've got a tough run in. All, you know, if you take into account all of the games, we've got a good few games where we can pick up some points. So hopefully we do. I'll catch you in the next one.
How's it going, guys? It's finished. Wolves 1, Sheffield United 0, in a really odd performance for Wolves, really. I mean, in the first half, we looked amazing in pretty much every area. The game plan went really well. You could tell what we were trying to do. We were being aggressive and not letting them, you know, win those second balls. We were threading passes together and doing some really intricate football. And that's the balls over the top as well. Today, I was really, in that first half, I was really impressed with the way that we could, you know, put a ball over the top and unlock a really stubborn, well-drilled Sheffield United defence. And, you know, that's where the goal comes from. It's a great goal. I'm not taking anything away from that. Sarabia gets his head on a really good Aït-Nouri cross. And it's well finished, really. He's got quite a lot to do. And the half finishes, and we looked really good, like I say, and you're thinking we're going to come out in the second, and really the game's going to just be playing into our hands because of the way Gary O'Neill plays football. You know, I thought that because now it's 1-0, Sheffield United are going to come at us a bit more and allow that space at the back for the likes of Neto and our pacier players to hit him on the counter and defend a 1-0. If that's all we can do, you know, 3 points was all that we needed today. But that second half performance, mate, we came out. Did we come out, to be honest? Because we were awful. I think Sheffield United did really well, I'll be honest. They made it really hard for us. And teams like Sheffield United are going to do that. You know, that was like us last season. If you're struggling at the bottom, a point is really valuable. And that really is what, for me, exactly what they were after today. You know, they were after a hard-earned point, and you could argue into some regard that they kind of deserved it, really, based on our performance in the second and the chances that we were giving them. But anyway, the second half, just not good enough, just not at the races in any, you know, any position on the field. Like, the midfield weren't winning the second balls or winning enough tackles, where in the first that we were. The wingers weren't getting up the pitch when in the first they were. The back three today in that second half were all 6s and 7s. Every time they got the ball, it took them an absolute age to decide what they were going to do with it. And it was really frustrating for us Wolves fans, because we know their ability. We've seen it in the first half. So why are you shying away from it now? Why are you making it harder for ourselves you know, I get it. You know, Sheffield United are gonna come at you in that second and fight for every ball. But when we've got the ball, we just looked really inept of ideas in that second half. I don't know what happened, and Gary O'Neill cannot be happy with that second half performance. The only thing that I can say is that it was one of those games where the points mattered more than the way we played, just because of the recent results at home against these type of teams, where we've looked a shadow of ourselves from our away performances, and also against teams that really we shouldn't be beating, the likes of Chelsea and Tottenham, but because of the way they play, that's how, you know, that's our game, isn't it? The counter attack and the use of the wings and cutting in and all that. And we were doing that in the first half, but it was non-existent in the second. And yeah, it just proves to me that this team is a phenomenal team. You know, if you've got to grind out results sometimes, you've got to do that, and I understand that. But when you show so much of yourselves in the first half to then not show any of it in the second, it's really annoying for us Wolves fans, because it was one of those games, really, after you get a goal, that should have been it, really. You know, we should have been scoring more and creating more opportunities, and we didn't. Massive 3 points today. Okay, let's just not talk about the game anymore. Massive 3 points. What it means for the table means a lot more than that result, or performance rather, because that's put us 8th, which is an absolutely phenomenal position to be in. And, you know, it could have been a lot worse today. You know, it could have been another Brentford performance where we don't get a goal and we don't unlock the defence. So you've got to take these things with a pinch of salt, really. You know, we've also had games at the start of the season where we've probably performed really well and deserved more than we've got. And then today, you know, in that second half, we didn't perform well enough to really warrant all 3 points. But that's football, you know. You're going to get these sort of games, and I get that. I just hope this isn't a sign of things to come, and this is just a one-off sort of blip for a second half performance where you win in a game, because I haven't seen that from Gary O'Neill's side before, where we've been so good in the first and completely inept in the second. So it is a little bit worrying, but 3 points is all that matters, guys. We've got a big game now against Newcastle. That is a huge game now if you look at the table. And if we got all 3 points from Newcastle, you could start getting your passports ready then, guys. I know it's a cliche that we're probably all scared to use, but you know what? Get your passports ready.